Today, we're taking a look at a place that has literally captivated the world for decades, Area 51. But I want you to go ahead and just forget the Hollywood myths, toss out the little green men and the sci-fi movies, because the newly declassified reality of this infamous base, it's actually far more insane and way more historically significant than any fiction out there.
For decades, if you asked the US government about Area 51, you got absolutely nothing. I mean, not even a "we can't confirm or deny." Just total, utter silence. No maps, no acknowledgement. Effectively, the base just didn't exist. And that was the status quo until one very abrupt moment when everything changed. Which leads us to a massive question. What did the US government actually admit to hiding there?
Okay, let's dive right into this. In 2013, the CIA quietly released a declassified 400-page document. And for the very first time in history, they officially admitted, yes, Area 51 exists. But by opening up this mystery box, they revealed something pretty shocking. What they finally admitted to hiding out there in the desert, well, it was entirely different from what the public had been expecting.
To really understand what was going on, we have to look at where this place actually is. Area 51 sits on this barren, super isolated dry lake bed called Groom Lake. It's about 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas, deep inside the Nevada Test and Training Range. You've got nothing but mountains and desert out there. And in a brilliant bit of irony, the state of Nevada officially dubbed the nearest public road, Route 375, the extraterrestrial highway. They literally leaned right into the whole alien mythology. But long before the tourists and the UFO hunters showed up, this extreme isolation was chosen for a very specific, totally terrestrial reason.
We really have to anchor ourselves in the intense, genuine panic of the Cold War back in 1955. The Soviet Union was building nuclear weapons incredibly fast, and the US was, well, they were effectively flying blind. Spy satellites just weren't a thing yet, and regular planes simply couldn't fly high enough without getting shot down. So the US military desperately needed a massive leap in secret aviation to see inside Russia. And Groom Lake, it provided the absolute zero visibility secrecy required to build it.
Which brings us to our first major declassified project. Section 1. The U-2 spy program, designed to be the ultimate vantage point.
To build this thing, Lockheed's legendary Skunk Works division needed a totally invisible facility, and the sheer scale of the engineering feat they pulled off out there is just incredible. Think about it like this. Your typical commercial airplane today flies at around 35,000 feet, right? The U-2 spy plane was built to fly at 70,000 feet. That is over 13 miles straight up above the Earth. The strategy was simple but wildly audacious. Just fly so high that absolutely no enemy missile in the world could ever reach you.
But unfortunately, that sense of invulnerability did not last. On May 1st, 1960, the unimaginable happened. CIA pilot Francis Gary Powers was actually shot down during a routine U-2 mission over Russia. It turned out the Soviets had secretly developed a surface-to-air missile capable of reaching that 70,000-foot ceiling. Powers survived and was captured, and this was an absolute catastrophe. It blew the highly secretive program wide open, nearly destroyed the Paris summit between the US and the USSR, and ultimately ended with Powers being exchanged in a super tense spy swap on the Glienicke Bridge in Berlin. So, Area 51 had been severely compromised, which meant their technology had to evolve, and it had to evolve immediately.
That forced evolution leads us right into the 1960s, Section 2, Project OXCART and the A-12 Avenger.
The CIA quickly realized altitude just wasn't enough anymore. They needed untouchable speed. And that meant hitting a staggering number, Mach 3.2. The A-12 was built to fly over 2,000 miles per hour. I mean, that is just mind-boggling speed. But hitting Mach 3 created a massive, totally unprecedented engineering hurdle for the brilliant minds working out at Area 51.
And that hurdle was heat. At 2,000 miles per hour, the friction of the air violently rubbing against the aircraft heated the outer surface to over 300 degrees Celsius. If they had used regular aviation aluminum, the plane would literally melt in the sky. It's wild to think about. To survive this thermal barrier, the entire skin of the aircraft had to be constructed out of solid titanium.
But there was just one glaring problem. The United States simply did not have a sufficient supply of titanium. So what did the CIA do? Well, they executed what has to be one of the greatest historical ironies of the entire Cold War. They set up these fake shell companies across the globe and secretly bought the titanium directly from the Soviet Union. Yeah, you heard that right. The CIA tricked their absolute greatest enemy into unknowingly supplying the exact metal needed to build a plane designed strictly to spy on them. You literally can't make this stuff up.
And all of this incredible engineering leads us to a massive aha moment, found right in those 2013 declassified documents. The CIA admitted that over 50% of all UFO reports in the US during the late 50s and 60s were actually sightings of classified Area 51 aircraft. Just imagine being a commercial airline pilot back then, looking out your window and suddenly seeing this blazing silver titanium dart banking at Mach 3, catching the sunlight at an altitude where no human-made plane should physically be capable of flying. It looked completely otherworldly. And just like that, the great American alien conspiracy theory was born.
But Area 51 wasn't just for testing American planes. Section 3, the enemy fleet, and the reverse engineering of Soviet MiGs. Throughout the Cold War, the US secretly acquired actual Soviet aircraft through defectors, allies, and covert intelligence operations. Specifically, we're talking about MiG-15s, 17s, and 21s. These enemy planes were quietly transported out to Area 51. Once there, American test pilots flew them for thousands of hours to meticulously map out their exact blind spots, acceleration limits, and turn radiuses. Now, this operation was so deeply classified that pilots had to maintain fake cover stories for decades. Some even took those secrets to their graves. But the intelligence they gathered, it directly saved countless American pilots' lives when they eventually faced those exact same planes over Vietnam. It gave US forces a massive, undeniable tactical advantage. Which brings us to a question I know you're probably wondering right now. What exactly is happening at Area 51 today? Well, if you look at modern publicly available satellite imagery, you'll see a massive, highly developed facility at Groom Lake. The base is very much alive, and it is continually expanding. It boasts these giant hangars, incredibly long runways, and complex radar installations. We now know it served as the crucial testing ground for revolutionary stealth aircraft like the F-117 Nighthawk and the B-2 Spirit bomber.
Of course, the extreme secrecy surrounding the modern base led to a rather bizarre cultural moment just a few years ago. In 2019, this joke Facebook event called Storm Area 51 went completely viral. It racked up something like 2 million RSVPs from people claiming they were going to literally rush the gates. It was totally absurd, but it actually forced the US Air Force to issue a stern official warning for people to stay away. In a really funny twist of fate, a viral internet meme forced the most direct public government acknowledgement of the base's active status in over 70 years.
Which brings us to what might be the most brilliant PR move of the Cold War. Section 4, the perfect smokescreen, and why the alien myth was so incredibly useful. When you actually dig into the declassified Area 51 documents, you'll notice they mention extraterrestrials exactly 0 times. Every single Area 51 UFO sighting has a highly documented terrestrial aviation explanation, whether it was a super secret classified aircraft or even a high-altitude weather balloon experiment. And while yes, the government did release UAP reports in 2021 about objects defying known physics, those involve modern Navy encounters out at sea, completely far away from Groom Lake. The reality is, the public fixation on little green men, it was a highly convenient lie. Because as long as people were staring at the desert looking for flying saucers, foreign enemies weren't asking the right questions about actual classified espionage programs, stealth technology, and reverse-engineered Soviet MiGs. The alien conspiracy was, without a doubt, the ultimate cover story. Which leaves us contemplating this really fundamental question as we wrap up this explainer. Is the real story of human engineering and Cold War sacrifice actually more impressive than the alien fiction? I want you to really think about that for a second. Real workers signed lifetime non-disclosure agreements, keeping massive secrets from their own spouses and families. Brave test pilots lost their lives in accidents that were never, ever officially acknowledged. And brilliant American engineers, working in total secrecy in the middle of a barren desert, built impossible machines that quite literally changed the course of world history. The declassified reality of Area 51 is a profound testament to the absolute limits of human ingenuity during one of the most tense, terrifying periods of global history. It wasn't extraterrestrial technology that built those planes. It was us. And when you truly understand the stakes, the sheer speed, and the audacity of what was accomplished out there on that dry lake bed, well, the truth is simply better than aliens. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this sparks you to dig even deeper into the incredible realities of Cold War aviation and the remarkable humans who pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible.